Okay, let's talk about community. I mean, we all live in one, right? But how often do you stop and think about how your neighborhood is actually run? Well, today we're going to dive into this really fascinating ancient blueprint for modern community that I'm telling you, it might just completely change how you see your own block.
So picture this. What if the entire idea of your local neighborhood government started on a boat? Yeah, you heard me right. A boat. And no, I'm not kidding. It sounds totally wild, I know, but trust me, it is the absolute key to understanding this truly one-of-a-kind system of governments. So that brings us to our first section, a boat, not a border. We're going to unpack the really surprising origin of this system, which is called the Barangay. All right, so what exactly is a barangay? Well, on paper, it's pretty simple. It's the smallest unit of government in the Philippines. You can think of it like a village, maybe a ward, or even your local neighborhood council. It's literally the most hyper-local level of administration you can possibly get. But here's where it gets interesting. The word barangay, it actually comes from balangay, and a balangay was an ancient seafaring boat. We're talking about the exact kind of boat used by the very first Austronesian peoples when they migrated to the islands centuries and centuries ago. And this is the key. This is the core of the original idea. Back in pre-colonial times, a barangay wasn't a piece of land with lines drawn on a map. No, it was the community of people on the boat. The families, the crew, everyone on that shared journey. So governance was tied to people, not to property. I mean, just think about that for a second. That is a massive mental shift.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how does this ancient boat-based community idea even work in a modern nation? Well, it adapted by becoming a system of incredible extremes. Just get a load of this number. As of the middle of 2025, there are more than 42,000 barangays in the Philippines. 42,000! This system is absolutely everywhere, from the most packed, bustling cities to the tiniest, most remote islands you can imagine. And the range here is just mind-blowing. This model is so flexible that it can govern a community with literally just one person, like Barangay Fugu, and at the same time, it can manage a massive urban center with over 213,000 residents, like Barangay Commonwealth. From one person to over 200,000, that adaptability, wow, that's what makes it so incredibly powerful.
So, what's the secret sauce here? What makes this whole system so special? Well, let's get into what I like to call the barangay's superpowers, the things that make this model truly unique on a global scale.
It really boils down to two amazing things that you almost never ever see together anywhere else in the world. First, a built-in local justice system for sorting out disputes. And second, a formal youth council that has a real seat at the table when it comes to governing. And you can really see the difference when you look at it globally. Sure, lots of countries have their own small local units, but check out the table. None of them formally bake in both local justice and a powerful youth council. In the US, for example, neighborhood councils are often just advisory. In India, the Gram Panchayat gets close on the justice front, but that formal youth council with a real vote, that's a truly distinct Filipino innovation. All right, this is where it gets really, really cool. We're going to see how this ancient model has been completely reimagined for the modern world, taking it from the Philippines all the way to, get this, New York City.
Yup, New York City. There's this organization called Cohandi, and they are taking these core principles from the barangay and applying them to one of the most modern settings you could possibly think of, the tenant communities inside massive NYC apartment buildings.
So how in the world are they doing it? Well, it's pretty much a direct translation of the original model. The barangay captains, they become trained tenant stewards for every floor or corridor. The youth council, that becomes a youth repair council, giving young people a genuine voice in community projects. And that local justice system, it's reborn as tenant peace circles to help resolve conflicts right there in the building. And they didn't stop there. They even created this amazing ladder of stewardship. And this is so much more than just a volunteer sign-up sheet. It's a whole structured journey. You can start as a bronze apprentice, level up to a silver corridor captain, then a gold tenant defender, and maybe even become a platinum legacy bearer. It's all about earning recognition and taking on more responsibility as you go. So let's bring this all back home. What does this all mean for us, for our own communities? Could this actually be a blueprint for your neighborhood? The really crucial takeaway here is this. The Barangay model proves that when you trust these super small, hyper-local groups with real power, I'm talking the power of governance, justice, and youth leadership, they can achieve absolutely incredible things.
So remember, this whole idea started with a community on a boat, a group of people defined not by a piece of land, but by their shared journey together. And that leaves us with one final big question for you to think about. What would it really take to build a barangay on your block? Who are the captains of your boat? Where are the young leaders? And how can you start that shared journey right where you are right now?